So the emergency room visit, on the way to the emergency room, my sister calls me. She was like, where you at? Where you going? All that. She was like, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm driving to, but I'm on my way there. So of course I got my giggles in, which made me feel better. But when we got to the emergency room, they met me with a wheelchair, my leg extended, because by this time I'm feeling all of the things in my leg and foot. And my shoe was still on. I knew with the swelling that was occurring not to take off my shoe. And the nurse that met me in the lobby was trying to figure out, how to get me comfortable. And I was like, please don't try to take off my shoe. Let's keep it on. He was like, that's a great idea. Thankfully, I was not in the waiting room that long. They immediately took me to get x-rays, and they x-rayed me from my knee down to my ankle. And at that moment when I pulled up my pant leg is where I could really tell my foot had really blew up with the swelling. And so they took some x-rays with my shoe on, but then it came to a point where they had to take the shoe off, and that's where I was very nervous. And I was like, y'all got to take my shoe off. And it's like, I feel like if you take my shoe off, my foot is going to just hang off, fall off. So I asked them, please just hold my heel as you slide the shoe off. And the staff was wonderful. They were a blessing. And thankfully, my foot was still attached, took the x-rays, and then took me to a room. There, after the x-rays were taken, I'm not sure if I went through 2 rounds of x-rays, but I do remember sitting there waiting for the doctors to come back in. And 2 doctors came in. One was big buff dude, comes in, and another one follows behind him. And they were like, so the x-rays show that you have broken your ankle. And I was like, well, did I now? All sarcastic. That's me. And they were like, so we are going to refer you to an orthopedic surgeon. And we want to make sure when sending these x-rays, if it is indeed, something that needs to be further taken care of with surgery. And I'm like, man, surgery. I was really hoping it was a high ankle sprain. That was not it. Comes out to be a Weber B fracture. Those in the medical field know what that is. I'll explain that here soon. So they were like, now we have to splint your leg and your ankle to stabilize it until you can see the doctor that we refer you to. And at this moment, the big doctor was the one that was going to splint my leg. But what he also wanted to be sure of, because they did not say anything about my knee, so I was under the impression that nothing was tore in my knee. And I guess how they knew that is because the doctor, he was like, this is going to be the test. And now that I'm thinking more about it, I believe before they took me back to the x-ray room for the second time, so they did do 2 rounds of x-rays. On the second round, before they did that, he was like, I'm going to have you see if you can keep your leg in stable form when I pull this chair from under your foot. He said, that's going to tell a lot. And I was like, here we go. So he said, on the count of 3, I'm going to pull the chair away and you see if you can keep your leg held up in the air. So as soon as he did that, I braced myself and my competitiveness kicked in, and I was able to contract my quad. I could see my quad contract even though it was super swole, and I was able to hold it. Don't remember how long, but it was long enough where he was like, okay, good. So then from there, after the x-rays and I'm coming back into the room, he said, it's time we're going to splint it to stabilize it. He was like, you're not getting a cast. The way that we splinted is kind of old school, and it looked like paper mache. So some of you guys may who've gotten splints before know what I'm talking about. Dip some paper in water, and then they mold it around the injury. But the other thing that I did not tell you that I'm going to tell you now is not only did I break my ankle, but from the outside ankle, but from the inside, when I was hit, my foot shifted. So it definitely was planted. It shifted, and the ligaments in the inside of the foot had separated. And the doctor said I was like 0.03 milliliters or whatever millimeters away from like it totally tearing apart or whatever. He was like, so you got it's attached and stuff, which is good. He said, but what I'm about to do is probably going to be very uncomfortable. He said, but it's got to stabilize it and bring it together. So he wrapped the paper around my leg, and he said it's going to start feeling really warm. And as he did that, and I got to add this in there too, he was a former OSU linebacker. So I was like, all your strength, please don't put that on my foot. I don't need you to do all that just because I'm already in pain. But he was like, I just need you to bear with me. So I think our athletic mentality kicked in, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So he pressed and molded around my foot, and the cast was huge. It came right up under my knee, and they were like, you've got to keep this on until you can see the orthopedic surgeon. Don't do anything but keep your foot elevated and do not get the splint wet. I'm like, well, I got to take a shower and stuff. They were like, if you get any water on it, it can dissolve, and then you have to get another one. I'm like, I ain't got time to do all that. So my sister, by this time, Boo Thang, my husband, and my mother are in the room. And my sister was like, I got you. She was like, I'm going to go out and look and see what I can do to protect it. She was able to find something that was like not a trash bag, but it was kind of like a trash bag specifically for casts or splints. So thank you, sissy. You are the real MVP, and VIP, along with everybody else I'm about to talk about. But anyways, so I left out of there in this huge splint, and time to go home, and things about to get real. This whole time that all of this has occurred, the kids are in school, so they have absolutely no idea what has happened to mommy. But also at this time, I had been given some meds, and some pretty good meds, because I was a bit loopy, but it was enough to take away the pain at that moment. And so by the time I got home, I was chilled with hundreds of pillows wrapped around me and my foot elevated. And that's where I stayed, in the living room, the closest thing that I could get to lie down and prop my foot up. So this next part is my home and family dynamics from this incident occurring and what happened from there. Check it out.